You know that feeling when you walk into your favorite store and they always seem to have exactly what you need in stock? Well, I'm here to tell you it's not magic. It's actually something way cooler. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the powerful world of sales forecasting and the data science that keeps those shelves stocked just for you. Right? It's a huge deal for any business. And like I said, the answer isn't some kind of wizardry, it's data science. Behind the scenes, companies are in this constant race to predict what you're going to want to buy. And today, we're going to break down exactly how they pull that off.
Okay, so here's the plan. We'll start with why this is even a problem. Then, we'll meet our special guest, Arima. We'll walk through the 4 main steps, take a peek at the future, and then wrap up with a much-needed reality check. Let's jump in. All right, first up, the prediction problem. I mean, why do businesses pour so much time and money into this stuff? Simple, because getting it right or getting it wrong has absolutely massive consequences. Think about it. Getting this right is basically the central nervous system of a smart business. It all starts with managing inventory, right? You don't want too much stuff sitting around, but you definitely don't want to run out. Nailing that helps you allocate your resources. We're talking everything from staff schedules to your marketing budget. And when you zoom out, it's the key to planning for growth and, actually making money. It's everything. So, how do they actually do it? Well, let's meet the hero of our story today, a really powerful statistical model called ARIMA. This thing is a total specialist, designed to make sense of data that changes over time. Yeah, I know. That name is a mouthful. Autoregressive Integrated Moving Average. But seriously, don't let the jargon scare you off. At its heart, ARIMA is just a really clever tool built for one specific job: to look at data over time, think monthly sales numbers, and figure out what's coming next. There's a reason it's a classic in the data science world. The best way to think about it is like a detective for data. It puts on its trench coat, grabs a magnifying glass, and just sifts through all your past sales data. It's looking for clues, trends, seasonal spikes, hidden patterns, anything it can use to build a solid case for what's going to happen in the future. Okay, so how does our data detective actually crack the case? Let's walk through the 4 main steps that take us from a boring old spreadsheet of past sales to a genuinely useful prediction about the future. It boils down to this. First, you got to visualize the past to see what you're dealing with. Second, and this part is super important, you stabilize the data. Third, you build the model. And finally, you get to forecast the future. Simple as that. Well, kind of. Okay, let's zoom in on step 2, because this is probably the most important part of the whole process. For an ARIMA model to do its thing, the data has to have this special quality called stationarity. And all that really means is that the data needs to be stable and predictable. And this is a fantastic way to picture it. See the data on the left? That's non-stationary. It's like a ball rolling down a hill. It's constantly changing, and who knows where it'll be next? It's chaos. But the data on the right? That's stationary. It's like a ball on a nice, level field. It's stable, predictable. It's exactly the kind of playground our model needs to work properly. So the big question is, how do we get that chaotic, rolling ball onto a level playing field? Well, we use a neat little trick called differencing. It's basically a mathematical way of focusing not on the sales numbers themselves, but on the change from one month to the next. By doing that, you kind of strip away all the confusing trends and seasonality, and what you're left with is that stable, predictable data the model needs. All right, once our data is nice and stable, we're on to step 3, actually building the model. Now, back in the day, this part was a huge pain, a ton of trial and error. But here's the good news. Modern tools like auto.arima can pretty much do the heavy lifting for us. They'll automatically test a bunch of different model setups and just hand us the one that fits our data best. It's a huge time saver. Okay, deep breaths. The data is prepped, the model is built. Now comes the really fun part, the big reveal. It's time to actually use this thing to peek into the future. This is what it's all about, right? After all that hard work, our trained model is finally ready to make its prediction. So, let's see what it came up with. And there it is. So that solid line on the left, that's all the past sales data we gave the model. And that dotted line stretching out to the right, that's the forecast. That's the future. But pay close attention to that shaded area around the forecast line. That part is just as important as the prediction itself. That shaded bit is what we call a confidence interval. It's basically the model's way of being honest.
It's saying, hey, my best guess is this dotted line. But realistically, the actual sales could fall anywhere inside this shaded range. And that is so important because it gives businesses a clear picture of the uncertainty they're dealing with, which is absolutely critical for making smart plans. So we've got our forecast, we've got our confidence interval, we're all done, right? Not so fast. The job isn't finished until we step back and give our model a serious reality check to see if it's actually any good. And the way we do that is by looking at something called the residuals. That's just a fancy word for the errors, the difference between what the model predicted in the past and what actually happened. In a good model, these errors should look totally random, like static on a TV screen. If you start seeing a pattern in the mistakes, that's a huge red flag that our model missed something important. And this kind of brings us to the real-world challenges, because even though the steps sound simple, making this stuff work well is a real skill. Figuring out if your data is truly stationary can be tricky. Fine-tuning the model takes practice, even with fancy automated tools. And honestly, the hardest part is taking all this statistical output and translating it into something that makes sense for the actual business. That's where the real magic happens. So what's the big takeaway here? It's this. ARIMA is an amazingly powerful tool, for sure, but it is not a crystal ball. It can't magically see the future. What it does is make a very, very educated guess based on the patterns of the past. And that guess provides incredibly valuable insights to help guide business strategy. And that kind of leaves us with one final big question. We've just seen how code can predict something as messy and human as what people will buy next month. So it really makes you wonder, what are the limits here?